Yeah.
Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. It's going to be a fun one to about ensemble movies. And we've got a great bunch of people here. We've got Jordan here. Jordan, how's it going?
Hey, that's me. Doing fine, man. I like this topic. I'm a big sucker for ensemble movies, and this might be interesting too. Because, like I was saying off air, there might be some good ones I just didn't think about. You know what I mean? There's so many different ways you can kind of hit this topic. So I'm gonna just see what everyone says here and see if there's any good old fights.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it certainly sounds like there's a lot of different opinions about what makes an ensemble and what doesn't. But so go ahead, Caro. Caro, how's it going?
I'm doing well. This is probably one of the tougher topics. There are a lot of good contenders, a lot of good ones. And yeah, like Jordan says, let's see how it goes. And maybe a few, underseen films that I'll bring up, but let's see. We'll see.
And last but not least, we got Jonathan Pick. Jonathan, how's it going? And I'm in.
Good. I'm doing good, Malcolm. Doing good. As soon as you saw this on the polls, I was like, I want to be on this panel because I love ensemble movies. When a big film has a big cast around the all-star actors, there's always this sort of like especially like a quality of movies along with it with a big ensemble. So I got my list together on my phone. I got a lot of casting options along with it, so I could choose from. And even some outside the box ones, and no one will expect. So I can't wait to do it with this topic. So there's lots of I only have 20 options I can think of, and I have to condense it down. So there's a lot to choose.
But yeah, how this works is each going to go around and nominate a movie we think belongs on a top 12 list. Because we've only got 4 people, it's going to come down to the other 3 whether it makes the list or not. So it's going to be interesting. And Jordan, we're going to go to you first. Jordan, what's the first movie you're going to bring up?
All right, yeah, lots of good options here, and lots of good options even too, just from this particular director because he knows he just always stocks his movies. Almost since I'd say it's like third movie on. I'm gonna nominate Grand Budapest Hotel from Wes Anderson. Again, even this year, the dude had a sad cast here. But I mean, here, Ray Fiennes, F. Murray Abraham, Adrian Brody, William Dafoe, Jeff Goldblum, Ed Norton, Harvey Keitel, Jude Law, Bill Murray, Saoirse Ronan, Jason Schwartzman, Léa Seydoux, Tilda Swinton, Tom Wilkinson, Owen Wilson, Lucas Hedges, Fisher Stevens. Again, and they all kind of have something to do too. Like they all get little moments here. I can see what they all signed on to the script, and I think this is one of his best movies. I think his last several have been very good, but I really like this one a lot. And a great cast.
Jonathan, what do you say about the Grand Budapest Hotel?
Man, a difficult one. It's a difficult. Well, me, but yeah.
Oh yeah, shit.
I'm sorry.
Clockwise, I would imagine we're doing.
I'll change stuff around. This is a tough one because I do have another one from this director on my list.
Ooh.
Man, yeah, he's really good for forming cast ensembles, especially from I don't know when he did it. Like he started doing it, I think from a movie that
like Tenenbaum's on. Like he's kind of been a big ensemble guy.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, because I don't remember Rushmore being that big.
No.
So
It was really early.
This is tough. This is really difficult.
Jordan Anderson. I love this director actually. Yeah.
I'm gonna go a slight no. Well,
I'm gonna say no to yours then. No, I'm just kidding.
Shit. You see, this is really difficult with Wes Anderson because
I know
all of these cast ensembles are really good, and because we're not praising just the director, we're praising the casting director as well.
Yeah.
They both do a good job.
If it helps, I said one per franchise, not one per director.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Sure. Yeah.
Hmm.
This is gonna kill me. Slight no. Ugh.
That's fine.
Jonathan Peck, what do you say about Grand Budapest Hotel?
I'm same thing with Carol. I'm very conflicted about this. I'm very tempted because on the one hand, I was thinking another Wes Anderson film with a great cast along with it. I do agree with Durandal is one of my top favorite Wes Anderson films, along with another one would have a big ensemble, which as much I love this movie and they have a great cast along with it, I'm gonna go shoot my bet on it. Gonna say a slight no on it because
Oh man.
it was my top 15 now. It was one of my honorable mentions, so I had to sort of edge that one off slightly a bit. So I will give my tempted no. I do love the film and I do love the actors involved in the movie, but I felt like I would give it a little slight out to a different Wes Anderson film, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would have easily gone yes on this one. Grand Budapest Hotel is probably my top favorite Wes Anderson movie, and I think the cast itself is just really good in it. So yeah, I would have said yes, but unfortunately, it's not going to make the list. And move over to Carrie. What is your next movie you're bring up?
I know that pains me because that is my favorite Wes Anderson. But I'm thinking cast ensembles, and there's I think one better one, but we'll probably get to it in a moment. But that's not what I'm going to pick first. I'm going to pick I think probably one of the best ensembles of all time in my book, The Godfather. I'm going to nominate The Godfather. What can you say? I mean, aside from Marlon Brando as the titular character of Vito Corleone, I mean, Pacino, Duvall, Talia Shire, John Cazale, Robert Castellano. I believe what's the guy from Maniac in Rocky? What's his name? Rocky 2. Well, anyway, that guy. James Caan.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. Diane Keaton. But yeah, without this ensemble, fitting in these characters from the book, from Mario Puzo's novel, it wouldn't have been talked about. It wouldn't have taken off with part 2 and part 3. And I think undoubtedly this is one of the best ensembles of all time. So, The Godfather.
Peck, what do you say about The Godfather?
Is on my list, and I will give it a yes. This is basically one of my top tier ensembles of all time, and I love it sort of like around the 70s that is sort of like the old school acting style or influence acting style by Marlon Brando, and along with the new up and coming talent of Pacino, Duvall, James Caan, and basically coming in together, basically create like a masterpiece of a movie along with it, with tension about it. And you can argue that new story, everyone's story in the movie. So I will get yes for The Godfather.
Yeah, and I believe the actor that you were trying to think of, Caro, Joe Spinell was the one you were thinking of, the one that was in Maniac and the Rocky movies.
Yep, that's him. We can't forget about Abe Vigoda, by the way. Abe Vigoda.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I got the 5 seconds before Leo, although it probably was in the YouTube chat before earlier. But I love The Godfather. I find it funny. The first 2 nominations are 1-2 punch for Jordan Anderson. Like, he's not a big fan of The Godfather either.
The guy's not on here. No offense.
Really, huh?
Yeah, I know. But yeah, The Godfather is a really great ensemble of actors. I think handful because I think this was really early in Al Pacino's career. Like he wasn't.
Yes.
And the fact that a lot of these people blew up from this is just amazing. So yeah, it's an easy yes to The Godfather for me as well. JPO.
I haven't seen it. I heard good things. No, I'm just kidding. Don't at me. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm definitely that shill, that kind of guy. That just I do absolutely love it here. It's not what I actually necessarily thought of, just because again, there's only about like 4 to 5 people that like I can really think off the top of my head. But no, it really is a great eclectic cast. Another one too, where like even smaller roles kind of really are shining, really kind of perfectly casted. So yeah, absolutely.
In fact, The Godfather is going to make this list. Yeah, I mean, for me, I was actually tossing up between this one and the second one because I think the second one is where you add De Niro as well. It's like
Yes.
either one would have worked, but
Yeah.
But Jonathan Peck, what is the first one again? Bring up.
I want to go back to a comedy again, and I was gonna put the first wildcard one on the list because as soon as the cast together, if you would have made this movie now with these casts, I think it would have been more money we did, even though this movie made money. And I'm actually gonna pick one of my funniest movies around the 2000s. I'm picking the cast of Tropic Thunder with Ben Stiller, Robert Downey Jr., Jack Black, Matthew McConaughey, Jay Baruchel, Tennessee Jackson, Nick Nolte, Dan McBride, Steve Coogan, Bill Hader, and Tom Cruise himself. This movie is hysterical. It jabs every going around in Hollywood around that time, and basically some resonate still to this day. Like the overuses of when you get in the role, and so plays on that sort of like what you get to do with how actors' ego go on the set with Tug Steven, Ben Stiller's character trying to be more serious than an actor, and basically Robert Downey Jr.'s character trying to be so into it, and sort of like blackface all of a sudden. And they played the joke of it very well, though. And outside of that, the war sequence in the film, it had played a great cast along with it. Even some small parts in the movie, great played off of that. So basically, it was just a great cast along with it. So I would nominate Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, I do slightly agree with Brian. I think depending on how they do it, I think it could. There's a good chance it could. There's a good chance it could still work. I mean, obviously, like the whole blackface element that wouldn't. But I mean,
that's the thing.
But it's one of those. But yeah. I think Tropic Thunder is just mildly funny. It's not definitely not hysterical to me. I've said it on many other shows. I'm not a fan of Tropic Thunder. But the cast itself is good, and yeah. I'm still gonna give it a slight no. But wouldn't. JPO, what do you say about Tropic Thunder?
Hell no to your no. No, this is absolutely on my list here. I love Tropic Thunder here. This is definitely on my list. Maybe my first comedy I would have mentioned, my first or second comedy. There's a couple of good comedies we can talk about tonight. Yeah, no, I'm everything Peck said, man. Really good kind of main trio, but then even Coogan's really good in his time. Tom Cruise, McConaughey, even kind of some unexpected things too. Like I didn't necessarily even know he was in it at first. Yeah, this is a really good choice.
Kerry, what do you say about Tropic Thunder?
So it's on me now, or
yeah.
All right. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I think that it's a really good movie. Boy, I have a few comedies. Now, the thing that weighs my decision on this one is the surprising actors in this cast. Like you didn't expect at all because they were all highlighted on the three main players and obviously the blackface component of the film. And obviously Jay Baruchel, Nick Nolte. But then the wild card for me was Tom Cruise because we did not expect Tom Cruise to go for this kind of role when it was first released. Okay, and it was so good that he got nominated for a Golden Globe for supporting actor. And obviously that sums up the whole film. I put a comedy on the bottom of my list, and I weighed between like three of them, and this is one of them. So I'm gonna go yes on Tropic Thunder because that cast is pretty gold.
If that Tropic Thunder doesn't make the list,
swear to God, Malcolm, if you see movie 43, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Oh, he's quiet. He's like, let me
spoil my pick.
I'm done.
Pivot.
I mean, look, I was going you just ruined my joke. I was literally going to say movie 43 as a joke, and then go
I'm
into
sorry,
my
I stole your
actual
bit. I stole your bit. I'm so sorry. I knew it.
No. But yeah,
Yeah. Everyone, solidarity.
But yeah, I'm also not going to go. I'm also not going to go for the one that you would expect me to go for as well. I'm actually going to go for Avengers: Infinity War. Uh, because like the MCU, like as it was, is was a very hard one to kind of like pinpoint. But I think Avengers: Infinity War like takes like all the heroes up to that point, and I think it gives them all something to do in that movie. Like there was no one really that was sort of wasted at all. Like, and they managed to sort of make it work. Like even if some of them only got a small appearance, they look like it was something that was sort of important to the plot and just and they weren't there just to be there. And I think out of the MCU, I think this is the one that I think uses the ensemble great. Like there's multiple choices for the MCU that I could have gone with. This is the one I think highlights a everyone that is in all the other movies prior to this and puts them all together. So yeah, JPO, what do you say about Avengers: Infinity War?
Yeah, I was torn when I was making my own little list about including a superhero movie here. It's not the first thing that comes to mind, but especially these last few years, even like the last decade plus, like there's several movies that like they've really stacked these casts, and you could even argue the first Avengers, but now this one even more so. So yeah, I kind of have a hard time debating it really. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes. If anything, this is probably one of the superhero ones that definitely makes sense to possibly be on here, and I think one should. So,
Caro, what do you say about Infinity War?
Endgame is my favorite MCU film, but I put Infinity War on my list, and obviously it's a yes because, like you said, they built up every single character beforehand, and they juggled these characters really well until that ending, that shocking finale there at the end, and then that the stakes are higher than ever before in Endgame, and obviously you have to bring up the one character that we haven't seen yet, Captain Marvel, which was the movie after Infinity War. But Infinity War is the one that I've chosen because obviously the cast was all exceptional, and the Russo brothers knew how to juggle all these people together. So yeah, it's a yes.
And Jonathan, what do you say about Infinity War?
It will move on, and I will say yes. Although I actually put Endgame on my list. If I want to pick one out of the MCU, I would have put Endgame on it because it's kind of the same thing, except I added to like a couple more characters. Plus, Emma got along with it, mainly with the main group, and basically just so like all the characters getting together, even some small cameos along with it. So I was considering that, but I will give it still would have gone yes to Infinity War.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, even as Brian says, like that final battle in Endgame, like Endgame is my favorite out of the
Yes.
two, but with Endgame, a lot of the it's just that final battle, which is where everyone does. Like, Infinity War gives everyone a chance throughout the entire movie. So
Yeah, that's why.
kind of why I went the way I went.
I'm actually on the same page with you.
But JPO, what is the next movie?
All right. Good job on everyone getting their picks in, but me.
It was a tough call.
So take pity on me because I am so afraid what happened last time is going to happen this time. Because again, with this director, you could go for more than one choice. So I'm going to shoot my shot again. I'm going to go for Pulp Fiction. So let's see, like other Tarantino movies, that's going to happen again. Samuel Jackson, John Travolta, Uma Thurman, Bruce Willis, Ving Rhames, Harvey Keitel, Eric Stoltz, Tim Roth, Amanda Plummer, Quentin Tarantino, Christopher Walken, Rosanna Arquette, Peter Green, Phil Lamar, Steve Buscemi, Frank Rayleigh, Kathy Griffin. This is one of those great movies too. What I love about a good ensemble too is that like there's not even necessarily a lead here. Like you could argue Jackson, you could argue Travolta, you could argue Bruce. You know what I mean? Thurman steals the show when she's there. Ving Rhames is perfect. Keitel. It's one of the best big ensembles. Like, Reservoir Dogs was really good too, but this was the first one where like he had a multi-layered story here, going all at once here, and is why it's still a super memorable movie to this day.
Caro, what do you say about The Godfather? Pulp Fiction.
Well,
sorry.
it's great. The Godfather's great again. Once again, I mean,
We agree, Godfather. Put it in.
Pulp Fiction. It's an easy yes for me.
Oh, okay.
An easy yes for me because we're talking ensembles. This is one of the best ensembles, and Tarantino, in his second movie, sophomore film, he assembled one of the greatest ensembles in cinema. And yeah, Jordan's right. Like, there's not one particular lead in this movie. I mean, it starts out with Travolta. Well, it doesn't start out with Travolta, but it starts out with Tim Roth, the plumber. So, and you think they're the main characters, which they're like lower down on the cast sheet. But then we go to the Hitman, and then we go to Bruce Willis and Ving Rhames, and then we go to Uma Thurman. So, and they're all interesting in their own right. And even Christopher Walken gets one scene where he's like, that's his own movie, a little movie.
Oh,
but
come on.
Scene.
I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
When I pop up.
He's put that watch up his ass. This is the Tarantino one that set the standard for him, in which all the actors would want to work with him in future films. You can consider if Pulp Fiction is your favorite or not, but this is the one that set the standard for actors to work with him because he's a great writer, he's a great director, and he's also a great collaborator. So, and he's another one who knows how to juggle all of these actors, these character stories really well. So yes, on Pulp Fiction.
Mr. Peak, what do you say about Pulp Fiction?
This is my number one great ensemble on my list, and I would give it a yes. This is my one Tarantino film. If I had to pick one of his movies that have a great ensemble, this is the one I'm going to pick. And basically start introducing the mainstream to Tarantino, and basically just really have a bigger cast and more linear of a story to help him out with that. So I will give a yes for Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction is like my easy pick as well. And it's one of those ones like I like Tarantino, but I think this is the one that like exemplifies ensemble movies, so to speak. Was like because when you think about his other movies, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like it's basically Leo and Brad, like all the others scattered throughout that movie, but Pulp Fiction is the one that takes all the characters kind of, just like I read with Infinity War, like they give them all some time to shine and something to do in the movie, and no one's really wasted. So yeah, it's a yes for Pulp Fiction for me as well. Kerry, we go back to you for your next nomination.
Okay. Okay. I think this. I don't know how this person did it in his debut. It's just mind-boggling in which he assembled a perfect cast and makes this compelling drama in one room that masterful. And I'm going to nominate 12 Angry Men from Sidney Lumet. And even, look, all these actors are like, they're basically character actors, but they're all perfectly cast. Every actor gets their moment in that throughout the film in one room. And to name some, you got Martin Balsam, Lee J. Cobb, E.G. Marshall, Jack Warden, Henry Fonda, Ed Begley Sr., John Fiedler, and Joseph Sweeney. I mean, all these people get their moments. I mean, it all starts with Henry Fonda, but it all builds and builds and builds to their own speculation, their own case, whether or not this person is guilty or not. So, 12 Angry Men.
Pick, what do you say about 12 Angry Men?
This is on my bottom of my list. I will give it a yes. This is actually one of the films I watched in the last couple of days to prepare for this list. And basically, it's very interesting. And I would give it a yes because the movie itself if you release this movie right now, and I still think it's very timeless, and as well the dialogue along with it, and even at the beginning of the movie, there was almost like a one-shot scene when the entire guys basically got into the room and standing up prepare for it. And basically, it's that type of filmmaking I'd love to see, like we did by Sidney Lumet, and basically just the great cast along with it. So basically, just confrontation right now. If I have a feeling like if you release this movie right now, I think most people will basically we'll talk about this right now. So I will give it a yes for total agreement.
Yeah, I actually watched this for the first time this year, not for this topic, but I just randomly watched it because it was on Amazon Prime. So, no, I'm gonna watch this because why not? But yeah, it is a really good movie, and yeah, like as Kara said, there's not a lot of them are notable like character actors and that, but I think it still works regardless of if they're like big name actors or if it's just character actors. I think it still works, so it's a yes for me. JP, what do you say about 12 Angry Men?
All right, now I'm sadly not joking, and now you can at me. I have not seen this, so I'm glad you guys have to say yes because I'm sure it does belong on here. So I'm glad no one will get mad at us or me specifically.
So you're one juror. So basically, you're the one juror, basically.
Yes.
One juror saying no.
Well, I haven't seen this. I have seen Pauly Shore's Jury Duty 3 times. Something's wrong. I apologize.
I saw that for the first time this year.
Hey, I'm sorry you had to see it once.
I mean, since the person who saw it more than once.
And here's the thing: I actually like Pauly Shore, like Son-in-Law and like Encino Man. So what it is, every like 10 years, I go, "This movie can't be as bad as I remember, is it?" And then I watch it and go, "Oh, it is as bad, if not worse than what I remember." So
abysmal.
Anyway,
sure, I'll see when I'm in my 40s. Like, oh shit, this is still not good.
Anyway, I don't think Pauly Shore's an ensemble that's going to make this list. But
No.
Jonathan Peck,
No.
what movie are you going to bring up next?
Son-in-Law's got a good cast, man.
Good movie. Okay. Well, I'm torn if I want to bring this movie up next, right now, or maybe the right time to use it. You know what? I'm gonna go another comedy on the list, and it depends how the panel's gonna react to it. I'm actually gonna pick the first Anchorman movie, and basically, I love this movie, and it's hilarious. And basically, Will Ferrell, Paul Rudd, Christina Applegate, Steve Carell, David Koechner, Fred Willard, Chris Barnell, and Vince Vaughn, like all the cast around it. And when they play into the 70s, it plays it very, very well. And it was a great chemistry between the four main leads, and basically just like great idea of when the 70s around that time, not only sort of making fun of it, but it basically just sort of plays a character right here, not too much of a character issue along with it. Even the ones that are not in the movie all that, but even the cameos with the all anchor person fighting, like Luke Wilson and Tim Robinson, that's still in a cameo in one scene. It basically just really brings a great ensemble along with it. So I will get for the first Anchorman movie.
And that was a great pose right there, like Anchorman.
Really confident.
Maybe it's one of those cheer little things where they just stand up. Maybe that's what we were doing, basically.
Are you frozen? Is he? Oh, he's frozen.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, Jesus.
Yeah, we can hear
you. But yeah, I mean, with Anchorman, it's one of those movies that.
Well,
that works. That doesn't work. Well,
the news file.
Yeah, you're breaking up, man.
One more time, Malcolm, if you're back.
I mean, we could go to Jordan next, and then.
Yeah, no, should we try to host this ourselves? Oh, me? You want to go jump?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Jordan.
All right. Damn, I wanted to hear what Malcolm said too.
I know, I know.
I'm interested because I didn't have it on my list, but you definitely made me think because I do think it's a great main foursome and even fivesome with Applegate.
Applegate.
I don't know if that's enough though for me to put it in the 12 though, because I do kind of feel like, Willard's all right, and like Parnell's, whatever. Like, I like Parnell a lot, but again, I don't know if he has that much to do. I hope Malcolm's back because we can't end this without him.
I know the suspense is killing me.
So I'm gonna give this one a slight no. There's other comedies, other movies that I had higher that I think have a bigger cast that where there's not that there's needs to be a limit of 5, but like I feel like there are bigger casts that have more to do than like just. I feel like the main 5 here kind of take the show, and everyone else is kind of a cameo and a B character to me, kind of. Jonathan Cara, what do you think?
Well, substitute host Jordan.
Okay.
I get your point on the 5. Like they all have a lot to do, but also you got to point out Fred Willard. He is hilarious as the boss.
Yeah.
I mean, there are moments where he's talking about his son or talking to his son about what's going on, and it makes me laugh every time. And then you have Fred Armisen, you have Catherine Hahn in the background, and then she comes into the foreground a little bit, where Applegate gets her moment to shine, and Jack Black as the motorcyclist is hilarious. And when they're he kicks Baxter. And then Vince Vaughn, of course, is the villain. So this was actually one of my 3 at the bottom, and I voted for Tropic Thunder. But I'll compromise a little bit. I have to sacrifice one of them. So I'm going to go a slight yes. I want to see what Malcolm has to say about this one.
So where are we at the moment?
No, and
I'm a no. He's a yes. So it's
Jordan
up to you.
said no.
Yeah, that's all I. Yeah, so this is one of those. Yeah, this is tough because I do really like Anchorman, and I think it's good. But yeah, it's like I love it's got a really solid like core cast, which is the Anchorman crew and that. Then, but so yeah. As much as I like Anchorman, I am going to lean slightly towards no, just because I think a lot of the other big name actors aren't in it enough to kind of justify saying yes to it. So yeah, fortunately, Anchorman's not going to make the list, and it goes back to me.
I was very upset.
I'm going to go for a relatively recent movie, but it's one that I think has a really solid cast that I think really works. And it's going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once. Because you got like Michelle Yeoh, you got Ki Kwan, you got James Hong in there, you got Harry Shum, and Stephanie Zhu and all that. It's got a really good cast, and I think it works. I think everyone kind of has their thing to do, and I think it's just a really solidly put together movie, and I think if I remember rightly, it did win Best Ensemble at SAG. Not that that's a reason for me nominating it at all, but JPO, what do you say about Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I'm kind of on the same. We kind of agreed on Anchorman, and I'm kind of still with that mind frame here. I love the main people that are at it, but again, I kind of feel like there's a core 5 here, and I don't know. Again, maybe I'm being too picky, but it's not something that really came to mind. And as much as I love the movie, I'm kind of at a slight no at the moment.
Caro, what do you say about Everything Everywhere All at Once?
This is difficult because yes, it did win for outstanding performance by a cast. It didn't win best ensemble. It said performance by a cast. And I would say like this is mostly Michelle Yeoh's film, but she has moments with certain people in the cast. But in the bottom line, it's her film. I mean, like she has moments with Jamie Lee Curtis, and then moments with Stephanie Hsu, and then also Ki Kwan, who is the heart of the film. So yeah, like I don't want to go too nitpicky, but even though I love the movie, it was my favorite movie of last year. Like I don't really see it as ensemble driven film. So because I think it's just Yo's film, it's Yo's journey throughout this whole universe here. So and yeah, I would say you can argue if it's Kei Kwan's journey as well, but it's really Yo's journey with her family and a few other people. So yeah, I love this movie to pieces, but I got to go a slight no, just because of the caveat of ensemble films. I don't think it's an
Yeah.
ensemble film.
No, that's fair. Pick, what do you say about everything you do all at once?
I'm two minds with Kara and Jordan to say this. As much I love the film, is one of my favorites from last year though. It's mainly because of Michelle Wan's movie and interact with characters she interacts with throughout the movie. So as much I love the film, I wouldn't say it was more real ensemble than more the other films. So I will give it a no on that part. Even though I love the film, I didn't even put it in consideration on my list. So that's my reason for it.
But JPO, we go back to you. What is your next nomination?
All right, something I know a lot about because I've lived in Florida and Arizona. Heat. I'm gonna nominate Heat. De Niro, Pacino, Val Kilmer, John Voight, Tom Sizemore, Ashley Judd, Wes Studi, Ted Levine, Natalie Portman, Danny Trejo, William Finkner, Diane Venora, Hank Azaria, Dennis Haysbert, Tom Noonan, Henry Rollins, almost said Seth Rollins, Tone Loc, Jeremy Piven, Xander Berkeley. Just again, a stacked cast, really fun heist movie here. One of the best climatic endings here, but there's a lot going on with a lot of these characters here. Really, again, just really well casted for these smaller parts, from the daughter to Kilmer to everyone really kind of killing it here in Heat.
Caro, what do you say about Heat?
So this is an interesting pick because you think it's like a Pacino De Niro film, and in a way it is, but I'm giving it a yes because Pacino and De Niro collaborate with their crew for most of the film. You see them, you see De Niro's crew planning for their heist that is towards the back half of the film, and then you have Pacino's crew following the trail. So they're both collaborating with their own crews, and then as they go once face off once against another in that shootout. So and then you have Voight, planning all this stuff, and then you have the female characters on the side where they play Pacino's and De Niro's significant others, and then Natalie Portman's there as well, and then you have a few villains there. So they're all pieces of a puzzle throughout this ensemble, and it really works. It works up to a T to that shootout, and then it becomes personal between Pacino and De Niro about the last 30 minutes. So it works beautifully as an ensemble until it gets personal. So I'm going to give it a yes.
Also, I don't know if I've misheard it myself, but Jordan heard when you talked about everything everywhere. Thought you said Michelle Kwan instead of Michelle Jonathan.
Maybe, yeah. Now that I think about it, maybe.
I think he meant Evelyn Kwan or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was referring to character name though. Like if I mispronounce it on that part though, I apologize. Really, my bad.
I wasn't anything a bit. I don't think it was anything bad. I think it was just a joke. But what do you say about Heat, Jonathan?
Okay. It's on my list. I will give it a yes. Even though on the surface is De Niro and Pacino, it just really the crews that surrounded him throughout the movie. Like Val Kilmer had to do with his wife, throughout the film, Tom Sizemore, the same thing, and basically on Pacino's side with Mackenzie Williamson right here, and it's had to also going to do with his daughter throughout the movie. So I will go and give it a slight yes.
I didn't even mention that guy. That shows how big of a cast it was.
Yeah.
I mean, Heat's going to make the list regardless. I would have gone a slight no, partly because I'm not as high on the movie as everyone else is, but and also just the fact that it is, to me, it is De Niro and Pacino mostly. Well, yes, they're doing great, but yeah, it's all going to make the list. No one's going to get mad. Caro, what's your next nomination?
Well, this director had a couple of ensembles. Which one though? This is a tough one. Which one is the better one? Okay. I'm gonna go with this movie from Paul Thomas Anderson, Boogie Nights. I think Boogie Nights, even though on the surface is Mark Wahlberg's film, Dirk Diggler's Journey, almost everybody has their own story, their own backstory here. We have Julianne Moore, who's a mother and has to, pay child support as well, and then is dealing with the divorce. Burt Reynolds, who's deeming to be the best adult director in the business. Then Don Cheadle with his radio business. He wants to get a loan. John C. Reilly has his own journey with getting a record deal there. Then Heather Graham with her high school background. William H. Macy. Philip Seymour Hoffman as the what is he? He's like an audio boom operator, I think. But he's secretly in love with Dirk Diggler, Luis Guzman, Philip Baker Hall. You have Robert Downey Sr. in this movie, Thomas Jane, and Alfred Molina in his one scene. Like, he's great in that scene, and Ricky Jay. So I think this ensemble works on every level. Every character's casted perfectly, and that's what I'm gonna go with. Boogie Nights.
Pick, what do you say about Boogie Nights?
I would give it a yes. And if there is any Paul Thomas Anderson film that's one of the ensembles, this is one of them. And basically, I'll give it a yes. I can't nothing to add on that because everything with Carol said was actually what I was going to say in the movie. So I would give it a yes for Boogie Nights.
Yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson, just like his brother Rez, is also really good at putting a lot of big ensembles in his movies.
I thought you were going to talk about LWS. I was like, huh?
I can't even think of a movie that's got a good ensemble, let alone a good movie.
There's a couple of Resident Evils that have an okay ensemble, like a good C-list ensemble.
But yeah, I actually saw Boogie Nights for the first time this year. I binged a whole bunch of Paul Thomas Anderson movies. But yeah, Boogie Nights is really good, and yeah, I do agree with Karen in the fact that, like, well, yes, it is like mostly Mark Wahlberg's movie, but everyone else has something to do in that movie, and I think everyone's utilized really well in it. So I'm going to say yes to Boogie Nights. JPO, what do you say about Boogie Nights?
No, it's a yes for me as well. This is on my personal list, and this was my PTA nomination as well. So yeah, no, I think everyone's got something to do. They I'll kind of feel like decently fleshed out characters for the most part. Cheadle's got a really good arc. Like you said, even the one scene with Molina, like, who that dude is, even though it's just one scene. So it's a really good choice.
But moving on to Pick, what is your next nomination?
Since you're talking about 90s ensembles, I'm not going to pick a 90s ensemble, which, although is sort of the lead actor's majority is lead in the movie, but I think the cast around him, it basically sort of like his back and forth with every cast member that he interacts with, I think is really show you. I'm picking the 1991 Oliver Stone movie JFK, with basically the cast alone, just like Kevin Costner, Tommy Lee Jones, Kevin Bacon, Joe Pesci, Gary Oldman, Laurie Metcalf, Michael Rooker, Stacey Spacek, J.L. Saunders, Jack Lemmon, Martha Matthau, Ed Asner, Brian O'Mara, John Candy, Wayne Knight, Vincent D'Onofrio, and Donald Sutherland. And I'm stretching the surface on the other half of it. So basically, this movie itself is basically sort of a great sort of like a mystery story, and basically sort of like, what if it's basically is another guy who worked with Lee Harvey Oswald, or sorry, he's not alone. Basically, I think it was a great thrive with Costner's character was doing, and basically the people that he interact with, basically when working his law firm, and basically the list of suspects that he mainly was in. And basically, you want to mention the cast, like, hey, Oliver Stone basically plays the talk of the town of actors throughout the 80s and throughout the 90s. So basically, and also sort of his peak as a director at that point. And basically, if you want to ensembles based on the cast alone, I will nominate JFK for that. So,
yeah, JFK is another movie that I saw for the first time this year. But yeah, it's I do think it's a really good movie, and I think it works a lot. And so I'm going to give it. I'm actually going to give it a slight yes for this. And but yeah, JPO, what do you say about JFK?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna give this a yes. This is also a recent watch for me, like in the last month or two. And yeah, you literally cannot. You will blink and miss actors. In fact, you can even do like a research and find like there's some more actors that were cut out too. And this is a long film in general. So he had a lot of moving pieces here. And yeah, and they all really get something to do. Like John Candy's a different role you've ever seen John Candy in. Pesci's interesting in this. Who else really? I thought Donald Sutherland's moment is fucking great. And yeah, I really love this cast here. This is one that goes on my mind that I didn't see on a lot of lists, but I think definitely deserves to be on the list. JFK.
Caro, what do you say about JFK?
This was on my list. Yeah, yes, I agree that it is mostly Kevin Costner's film because he's in charge. He plays Jim Garrison, who's in charge of this whole investigation. But the bottom line is it's really conspiracy theories. I mean, it's all speculation of who did it, who's behind the assassination of JFK, and that's why all of these actors are involved in this film. It's all speculation. A lot of people are speculating here. So, yeah, like you said, I mean, Donald Sutherland has one great scene, a long scene, but it's great. And then, I mean, Tommy Lee Jones is allegedly the bad guy, but and obviously Gary Oldman, Lee Harvey Oswald, Laurie Metcalf, Vincent D'Onofrio, and like very few, like one scene, I think.
Yeah, no, he's one of those blinking you miss him. And we're like, oh, D'Onofrio's in this?
Yeah, D'Onofrio, and then even Martin Sheen narrates the film. Well, I think the beginning of the movie. But yeah, I'll agree with you on JFK. Yeah,
that JFK does make the list, and it's going to move over to me. And yeah, I'm going to bring up the movie everyone probably expects me to bring up at some stage. I'm going to bring up Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. And look, it's one of those ones like Lord of the Rings trilogy as a whole is just a really good ensemble. But I think Return of the King is the one that kind of gives everyone, like, maybe not Sean Bean, but for obvious reasons. But Return of the King gives everyone else like a time to shine. Like Miriam Pippin have some really good moments in the movie. Like even Legolas and gets some time to shine as well. And I think it's just the one that utilizes the ensemble the best out of the trilogy. But yeah, I think like Return of the King is probably the one to put on from this trilogy onto this list. Let's see if everyone agrees. JPO, what do you say about Return of the King?
I saw this on list, and I thought originally I was gonna maybe say no, just from like my perspective of it. But like no, when you really think about it, I think it does deserve to be on because, like I said, it is an ensemble cast, even if some of the names didn't go on to do too many bigger things or they're more from a certain niche, but they're all really good. There's a lot of several fleshed out characters. That whole kind of core group is kind of decently fleshed out, and actually, like thinking about it, like I think this does very much check the boxes. So yes.
Caro, what do you say about Return of the King?
I just put Lord of the Rings on my list. I don't care which movies going to be on the list because they're all great in every one of them. I mean, Sean Bean in one movie, Christopher Lee in a couple movies. Even though if it's the third movie, you have to watch the extended version. So, and also Brad Dourif.
Definitely.
And Brad Dourif as well. But
Is it 4?
it's 100% yes, because frankly, all three movies you can make a case for all three and great ensembles. So I'll just consider it Lord of the Rings. Why not?
Pick, what do you say about Return of the King?
Hey, thing, I just wrote down Lord of the Rings, and I don't care which one it is. 'Cause if you can pick one of them, I will give it a yes for me. But I'm not going to add anything more today. Pretty much everything we need to say about Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
But for that, we've got 3 spots left. We're going to go over to JPO.
Ooh, it's me again. All right, time to shoot my shot here. One of my favorite movies of all time, and I think it's one of the best ensembles of all time. We're talking Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, Kirsten Dunst, Elijah Wood, Mark Ruffalo, Tom Wilkinson, David Cross, Jane Addams, Deidre O'Connell, and Tom Ryan here. Again, everyone's really got their moments to shine here. This is about Carrey trying to save the memories of him and Kate Winslet here. But there's a wonderful side arc with Kirsten Dunst. So you find about her character, her relationship with Wilkinson, his wife, who finds out, who has a couple of really beautiful moments. You can have him. You did. Mark Ruffalo is very sweet in it here. Elijah Wood trying to steal her. David Cross is one of the best friends, along with Jane Addams. When they first tell Carrie, again, I think it's a beautiful movie with a wonderful ensemble. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Joe, what do you say about Eternal Sunshine?
This is difficult because this is one of my favorite movies of all time. Man. Okay. I'm going to go a slight no. Here's why. So this is basically the Everything Everywhere All at Once argument here. It's Jim Carrey's story. I mean, it's a story.
We say that every round, though. It's always going to be one person's story usually.
I know, but the thing is,
I
think JFK is basically the only exception so far, because it can't be just Kevin Costner's movie. I mean, everybody's involved in that. In this conspiracy theory, everybody's involved in it. Who's casted, by the way. Though I think they're all examining Jim Carrey's Carrey's character's mind. So it's his story there. And yeah, you're right about Kirsten Dunst's character.
You go outside of his mind. You see Dunst and Ruffalo, and you'll see Wood's perspective as well.
Yeah, I think so. But then you have Winslet. But the thing is, I don't know if I considered it of an ensemble. That's the thing, because it's really hard to pinpoint here, because yes, they all have moments, but in the end, it's really about going through Jim Carrey's mind. I mean, I'm sorry if this is not going to move on, because this is a great film, but
it's all your fault.
Boy, it's a slight no.
Jonathan, what do you say about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
I'll give it a no. It kind of pains me because I love this film. And I will it's more of a two-hander between Carrey and Kate Winslet. So that's my reasoning for it. So I will give it a no.
I know as soon as JPO brought this up, we were going to be breaking his heart. This
went exactly how I thought it was going to go, but I just couldn't not try.
It's very difficult. This was very difficult.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like, everyone has their own opinions of what makes ensemble and ensemble, because like it's like there's a couple of movies that I'll put on my list, but it's like I don't know if I'll bring them up because I think they're not going to get yeses.
I didn't necessarily think of this one either, and then I saw it on someone else's list, and I was like, "Well, there you go. They think so. I'll think so."
Yeah. As I said, like everyone's got their own different opinions, which is it makes things interesting. But ultimately, this is Jim Carrey's and Kate Winslet's story. Well, yes, everyone else gets some like. So I just don't think it's like a strong enough ensemble, so to speak. It's a good movie, though, but I'm still going to say no.
It's great. It's a great movie.
It's great.
Fix your sentence.
Anyway, Caro, what is your next nomination?
Yeah, it's the wrong adjective. No matter how positive it is. Okay, so let's see. Okay, this one utilizes it on some. I'm gonna go Ocean's 11. Yeah, even though Danny Ocean has his own way of, handling the heist. Everybody has moments in this movie. Throughout this movie, they have their part with this heist here, and it's a very funny, sharp, clever film. And again, they all have their moments throughout the movie, even from one meeting scene to a curse word. That is hilarious. Yeah, so Clooney, Pitt, Damon, Elliot Gould, Don Cheadle, Bernie Mac, Carl Reiner, Scott Kahn, Casey, even people outside, Julia Roberts, Andy Garcia. So Ocean's
Joshua
11.
Jackson.
Yeah. Ocean's 11.
Jonathan Peck, what do you say about Ocean's 11?
Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
The remake, not the other.
Dean Martin.
I know. All right. We'll give it a slight yes. I love this movie, and I was very tempted to put it on a little higher on my list though. So I almost cut this movie off. So I'm a little torn at it. So I would get a tentatively yes on it.
Yeah, I just put Ocean's Trilogy. I don't care which one. Because I mean, like 12 and 13 is basically like a lot of the same ensemble, just different sort of villains and thrown in. But yeah, Ocean's 11 is probably the better one to pick because I think everyone gets something to do because everyone in that team has something to do. So yeah, it's an easy yes for me, and Don Cheadle gets another movie on this list. But JPO, what do you say about Ocean's 11?
That's three movies. Yeah, that's true.
Although funny enough, this is a weird fun fact. Don Cheadle not credited in Ocean's 11. Yeah, double check that. That's true. But yeah, no, this is actually still a yes for me as well. This is kind of like the epitome of like an ensemble. You know what I mean? The cast has literally 12 names on the poster and whatnot, and they do a good job too. Like you can see why like people who are usually leads in their own right, Pitt, Damon, still signed on for it. You know what I mean? And they have a lot of fun here. It's a fun flick as well. You can even nominate the 13th one if you wanted because they add a couple more names to it. Not the 12th one, but this one's really good. So yeah, yeah.
But with that, Peck, we go back to you. What is your next nomination?
Okay then. Pretty much half my list is already taken care of, so I'm gonna pick another one. We hadn't mentioned this director yet, so I'm curious of what the panel is gonna pick for based on this filmmaker. Picking for a film by Martin Scorsese, and the film that I pick is for the one who finally won for best director. I picked The Departed because excuse me. This is a great ensemble with Leo, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Martin Sheen, Wayne Winston, Eric Romeo, Alec Baldwin, Anthony Anderson. The way he's surrounded with we shoot around Boston, along with it, it was sort of like a great it's sort of a simple story along with it. It's sort of like not catch a fugitive, sorry, but it's sort of like undercover cop, basically being undercover. So I was basically enthralled with this movie when I first saw it, and basically, if I were to pick some Scorsese, some ensemble characters, this is the one I would sort of recommend first. So I'll put my nomination out there for The Departed.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I do really love Scorsese, I think out of his movies, I think this is probably the one that is the ensemble movie. Well, yes, there's Goodfellas, but I think Goodfellas is mostly like the main three, and
Yeah.
but The Departed is the true ensemble that until the one that's coming out this year, Killers of the Flower Moon. Now that's another big ensemble. Um, but Departed is the one to pick here. So yeah, it's an easy yes for me. JPO, what do you say about The Departed?
I do love the flick. I was torn to putting this on my list. I was kind of running the cusp, but I think it's a damn fine movie, and there's a lot of pretty good actors at play here. So yeah, I think have enough moments here. You know, it's even one of those movies no one knew who was going to necessarily get nominated. A lot of people thought it was going to obviously be Nicholson, and ended up being Wahlberg, who's really good. So I'm gonna say yes.
Caro, what do you say about The Departed?
This was a Scorsese film that I picked based on ensembles. Yeah, you're right about Goodfellas. Yeah, I thought about Goodfellas, but it's really Henry Hill's and Carrie Hill's story, and also obviously the three. And then The Aviator, yes, it's an ensemble, but it's really Howard Hughes' story.
Yeah,
and then Gangs of New York. You could say it's DiCaprio and Daniel Day-Lewis there. So, I mean, you can make a case for Shutter Island, but I think that The Departed works as an ensemble because even though it's DiCaprio and Damon chasing each other, you have two crews against one another. So, like Winstone, Nicholson, I'm going to spoil it, Damon, James Badgedale, and then this guy I see from other movies like Aliens and The Shawshank Redemption. You know which guy I'm talking about. And you've seen him before. And then you have the other side. You have Martin Sheen, Alec Baldwin, Vera Farmiga, Anthony Anderson. So, yeah, this works. And this was on my list. So, yeah, I'm going to say yes to The Departed.
But anyway, we've got one spot left. It's on me to nominate.
Nice.
And I'm going to bring up a movie that no one has seen. Siona's reading note. It's a New Zealand movie. It's got a really good New Zealand ensemble, but no one's seen it. I'm not going to. But yeah, But for my next nomination, I just have to move my camera up a little bit. It's going to be Jojo Rabbit. You've got ScarJo, Taika Waititi, Roman Griffith Davis, Sam Rockwell, Rebel Wilson's in there, and a bunch of others. But I think, this is one that is going to be interesting to see how other people view it. But it's one yes, it is mostly Roman Griffith Davis and Thomas McKenzie's story in this. But I think everyone in the movie does get some time to shine at the same time, because Scarlett Johansson has a really emotional scene, it's just a really heartfelt story, and I think and that the comedy works. And I think Taika Waititi also, even though with a lot of the movies, most people probably wouldn't know the actors, but from my perspective, he does a good job of putting all these, getting a really good ensemble together and have it really work out. But JPO, what do you say about Jojo Rabbit?
It's a good choice. I love the movie, and it is a good ensemble. I don't think there's an argument against that. Now it's just a matter of being a picky little bitch and going, there's only one spot left. I don't know if it's as high of an ensemble as some of the other ones on my list. So I'm going to say no on that. I would have said yes to Sion's wedding, though. Malcolm, I'm just
kidding. Karen, what do you say about Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah, a lovely movie. This was a movie that Taika Waititi really achieved. It was a tricky balance. Works on both comedic and dramatic levels. I think you said it. I think you said it's basically Davis's story with Mackenzie going in later in the film. And also you could say Taika's film as well. But Yeah, I felt like the other characters were like really supporting characters. I don't know if they had like enough time to shine. Maybe you could debate Scarlet for sure, but yeah, I'm gonna go slight no. But yeah, it's a great movie. I think it may be you could debate Thor Ragnarok, but I think it's or What We Do in the Shadows. It was one of three Taika's best, but yeah, I'm gonna say no, slight no.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If we didn't get Infinity War on here, I probably would have tried for Ragnarok, but we've got an MCU representation on here. Jonathan, what do you say about Jojo Rabbit?
You good, Peck?
Oh, I will give. Although I'm giving. What's that?
Yeah,
I was gonna
losing
You're
him.
say
breaking
I
up a
was
little
gonna
bit there,
know though.
Jonathan.
Although I actually didn't thought about that, so it's a very solid ensemble. It's not the one I was sort of thinking of. So oh, hear me now,
Yeah,
Sorta. You're breaking up.
guys. Hold
um,
on.
yeah. Try and
Hold on.
leave and come back.
Hear me
I
now?
mean, I think I heard enough to say what you've.
All right. All right.
Yeah, you can come up and come back.
But anyway, JPO, it's
All right.
on
Give me
you
a second.
next to nominate. What?
All right.
Um,
All right.
It's a little bit better. Technical difficulties, everybody.
So I'm gonna mute Jonathan while he fixes his stuff. JPO, what is your next nomination?
All right, we're gonna go to war here. We're gonna go with Saving Private Ryan. Tom Hanks, Matt Damon, Ed Burns, Tom Sizemore, Adam Goldberg, Barry Pepper, Vin Diesel, Giovanni Ribisi, Jeremy Davies, Ted Danson, Paul Giamatti, Dennis Farina, Nathan Fillion, Ryan Hurst, Bryan Cranston, Leland Orser. Whether it's the little side characters they come across, like Cranston in The Office or Giamatti and Danson on the Warfield, you also got a great core ensemble group at the heart here. Everyone has a character. Everyone has their moments of monologue where you know who this person is, whether they're for it, whether they're against it, whether they're a newbie, whether they're a longtime soldier here, man. And again, I don't necessarily think, and this is a good ensemble too, of the fact that like you have Hank kind of on the poster and he's kind of the biggest head, but because it's the war movie here, he's not necessarily in it like more than almost anyone else. Like Matt Damon might actually be more of a co-star than a Vin Diesel or an Ed Burns who's in the movie as much as even Tom Hanks is. So I think this is a fantastic ensemble cast, Saving Private Ryan.
Caro, what do you say about Saving Private Ryan?
This is a great ensemble. Yeah, this is an ensemble film because even though Tom Hanks is prominent on that poster and you do follow him for most of the movie, he's the leader of that troop, but Jordan's right. They all have their moments to shine. They're all together throughout the film. I mean, one by one, they die, but
spoilers.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they don't save Private Ryan. Okay. No, but they all have their moment. Even when they come across Private Ryan himself, he has moments later in the movie before the attack, that second attack. So, yeah, you could say it's Ryan's story, but everybody has their part for most of the movie. So I don't have it on the list, but you did make a good case for it. So I'm gonna go yes.
Pick, what do you say about Saving Private Ryan?
Oh God, this is one of my honorables. Part of me wants to say yes or no on this one because part of me wants to say yes, but I have another film I want to bring up next. Although from a certain filmmaker, I thought we could have brought it up a little bit later. I'm very conflicted on this. So, how about this? I'm going to do something very different here. I'm going to defer to Malcolm so he can be sort of a deciding factor on this. So, I
Is that
know.
allowed, Malcolm? Is he just making up rules now?
No, I've done it before. He's pulling my card.
So basically, I'm gonna defer to Malcolm to see how he would do it. So I'll just leave it at that.
It's really difficult.
I mean, those that know me well enough know my opinions on Saving Private Ryan. It's not the best war movie that was nominated for an Oscar that year. I think
That's not what we're talking about.
Let me finish. I think the Thin Red Line is a better ensemble as well.
What is?
Thin Red Line.
The Thin Red Line.
I've never seen it, but that is a good cast.
So, but yeah, but yeah, I think 7.1's a like decent movie, but I do think it is. I just don't think the rest of it get out that much to do in the movie. I do think it is still mostly Tom Hanks and Ryan's story, so I'm going to say no. Pick what you have said.
Hey. Okay, I'm back.
You know what? You have me ahead of you, right? One next up.
How about this though? If you're gonna bring up one movie for a certain filmmaker to brought up, maybe I would have said the Barton. So, man, I wish I had a coin with me so I can put heads or tails, so I don't have to choose that hardly. So, you know what?
Heads.
I would say head tails, but okay. You know what? Enough stalling. I'm gonna make my decision right now. It pays me to do this, but I'm gonna go my gambles for a second. I'll give it a slight no. Slightly. I know. This is hard because I'm gonna make a gamble. I think we're promised that filmmaker back, so basically that's my reasoning for it. So I make my gamble on it.
But anyway, Caro, it goes to you for the next nomination.
Okay. I thought, I had my board ready. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, I have two filmmakers that I'm targeting, and one we brought up like real early, if I should bring him up again. But there's another one that has an ensemble that is recent and is very memorable. I'm gonna make it a little different, actually. So we already brought this name up, but I'm not gonna go with that one. So I'm gonna go with my first honorable mention here. So I'm gonna bring up Knives Out. Yeah, I'm gonna nominate Knives Out. Yes, you could say that it is Benoit Blanc's investigation. Everybody in that family has something to do here because everybody is a suspect in this murder here. I mean, Chris Evans plays that son, Ana de Armas, the nurse. Then you have Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon, Don Johnson, Tony Collette, Catherine Langford, Jaden Martell. And then you have Lakeith Stanfield as the detective lieutenant who helps Blanc with this case. And then Christopher Plummer himself. And then you have this cameo from Joseph Gordon-Levitt, his voice. And also you have Frank Oz as a counsel. So you might see him there. But yeah, I choose Knives Out because without this ensemble, without this memorable cast and this plot, we wouldn't have gotten Glass Onion. And we still remember all these characters. What's the last name? Oh shoot, it's Thrombey, the Thrombey family. And we remember the Thrombey family enough that it's been a big hit. I think it was nearly a nomination. That movie was nearly a nomination for Best Picture. It was talked about, but 2019 was a killer year. So, yeah, I'm going to shoot my shot for Knives Out.
Peck, what do you say about Knives Out?
Great. That was also one of my honorable mentions, to be honest with you. That or maybe Glass Onion. If I had to pick one of it out of those guys, imagine I could have preferred like Glass Onion, I'll be honest with you, because I felt like it was a little bit more dynamic than with others. It was a little more shorter, so more easy through on a little bit. But I will give it I'll give it a no, tentatively, because I want to put mine there next up, but it's a great ensemble. It's my honorable mentions for a reason, so it got very close to my ideal list. So I will give it sort of like a tentative no.
Um, yeah, this was one that I actually initially didn't think of. But it's one of those ones like to me, murder mysteries is always the exception to the rule of when it comes to someone's like that is mostly one person's work because well, yes, the murder mystery. Whether you're talking about the Agatha Christie ones or even these ones, like it's all basically the main detective that's doing its story. Um, but yeah, like Knives Out, like Ryan Johnson proved like he really is a big fan of these murder mysteries and knows exactly sort of what to do and how to put together a really stellar cast. Is like so yeah, it's going to be a yes for me for Knives Out. JPO, what do you say about Knives Out?
Putting it all on me, huh? I thought about these. I actually even thought about Glass Onion because I think they're both are really good ensemble cast. I like Ryan Johnson a lot. The way he spells his name screwed me up. I was like Ryan. This is just it's not as high up. So let's keep this show going. I'm gonna say no.
Oh,
All right,
sorry, board.
Knives Out isn't going to make this list. Pick what are you going to bring up next?
You happy, Peck?
Okay. Okay. I think we keep kicking the bush much longer. I think it's time to bring it back up again. It's time to bring it back Wes Anderson. And the movie I was thinking of at the very beginning, if I pick a Wes Anderson movie, if I want to represent the ensemble, it's Royal Tenenbaums. Like, I think for me, I put the slight over Grand Budapest because I think it has some more sort of groundedness on there than Grand Budapest Hotel. And that's the reason Royal Tenenbaums, I think it was able to better ensemble with it because the great grounded performance by Gene Hackman, by the Paltrow, Stiller, Bill Murray, Amy Glover, like the rest of the ensemble itself, it's really good, really fantastic. And it's sort of like, and my favorite story about the movie is really Gene Hackman plays this grandfather basically trying to connect with his family. And basically, throughout the movie, it is really great. Like, really the last great Gene Hackman performances throughout the film for his career. And basically, what a great way to with this ensemble. Nominated for the World Tenenbaums.
Yeah, so I like the Royal Tenenbaums, but I just don't think it's that strong of an ensemble movie to me. I think Wes Anderson's got some stronger ensemble movies out there. I don't think the Royal Tenenbaums is that one for me, but so I'm going to say no. JPO, what do you say about Royal Tenenbaums?
I'm gonna second you, Malcolm. This is not the other Wes Anderson I thought was gonna get brought up. There's like three more that I would have brought up before this. And also just as a movie in general too. Well, I like this movie. I don't think it's his strongest movie. I think he's become more of a fleshed out writer since then. And yeah, I don't know. I like this, but it's not one that came to mind for me here. It's a good ensemble, but not enough for me to say yes.
Kara, is this the Wes Anderson movie you're thinking of?
Yeah, this was the one. I think this was the look. Grand Budapest is my favorite, but I think Royal Tenenbaums utilizes the ensemble really, really well. I think the best in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it depends on how you argue it. Yeah, because like I'd say like they're more fleshed out, like they're here,
Yes.
but I just think there's more to it in Budapest. Like, there's more going on.
Yeah,
I guess it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, the thing is that I think why I said no to Grand Budapest is because it's really this is a spoiler, but it's zero story. It's zero story, but with Gustav as the leading actor as well. So it's like a two acting movie, a 2-role movie with a lot of people as supporting performances. So and here, yes, it's about Royal Tenenbaum being reacquainted with his family once again, but each of these characters in the family have their own storyline. So, and some are sadder than others, and some are more relatable than others. So that's why I went with Royal Tenenbaums on my list than Grand Budapest. So obviously it's not gonna make it, but I would have been a yes for me because of that reason alone. So I mean, yeah, it was sad. Look, if one of you said yes, this would have been a precedent of having every single movie on my personal list make the top 12. Oh, that kind of sucked. But hey, one out of 12, not bad.
Chekhov.
Almost had it. Almost.
But
Too greedy, John. Too good, but it knock you down a pedestal.
Yeah.
So I'm going. So it's back to me. And
Honorable mentions there.
yeah, I'm. So, I'm going to try for this one. I know this movie wasn't. Actually, no. I'm going to go for the one I was thinking about. I'm going to go for Spotlight. And I think this movie is a really stacked cast, and I think it's just works in a lot of things because it's basically this newspaper investigating child sex abuse and by Catholic priests and and it's just a really big cast. You got Mark Ruffalo, Michael Keaton, Matron McAdams, Liev Schreiber, John Slattery, Stanley Tucci, Billy Crudup, Richard Jenkins is in there, Len Carew, and I think it's everyone in there is utilized just a really good amount, and I think everyone gets excuse the pun, but as absolutely intended. Everyone gets the spotlight at various points in the movie. But yeah, so I'm going to try for Spotlight, see what happens. JPO, what do you say about Spotlight?
I'm leaning towards yes. Is it because I think it belongs? Yes. Is it partially because I also wanted to wrap up this episode? Yes. No. No. I thought about Spotlight. I think it does belong as well. It's one of those posters where, again, you list 8 to 10 names, but they all have something good to do here. It's also just a really well-made movie here. There's some movies recently that I think try to tackle good issues, but they also just aren't that as well made. This is a well-made movie with great issues that needs to be told, that has some great actors in it, and everything's kind of on par here. So this is a great film with a great ensemble. I'll say yes.
I'll try to ignore the fact you said this is a well-made issue.
Oh yeah, so, you know what I mean. It's an issue that's worthy of talking and being. And I'm just saying, there's been some movies recently. From what I could understand, Sound of Freedom sounds like a good issue. Bad movies, from what I can understand. This is where it's a. Fuck you. You know what I mean.
we knew what you meant. You just know, someone would have brought that up in the chat. Kara, what do you say about Spotlight?
Worthy of talking. It's a well-made movie.
This is one of my many honorable mentions. Oh yeah. You don't have any idea how many honorable mentions I have here. But Spotlight. Yes, this is a great ensemble film. They utilize Tom McCarthy utilizes each character very well. Each reporter has their own opinion of this matter, their own story. And the one person that was an interesting addition to this cast is Billy Crudup, who's an attorney who represents the victims of this abuse, and he's very interesting as the gateway between the journalism side and then the reporting side of the victim side. So, and you said Richard Jenkins. He's a voice. He's a voice of he's a psychotherapist. That's basically what it says. The telephone voice. And this is also one of the great Best Picture winners of the decade, the 2010s. Boy, I really wanted to put a wild card in there if it were my turn, but Spotlight was actually one of my higher honorable mentions. So, yes.
Jonathan, Pick, what do you say about Spotlight?
Man, I only seen this film once, and it broke me. And
I
it
don't
broke
blame
me.
you.
Yeah, I only seen this film once, and it just really enthralled me, especially with the end credits. And we, this is a hard one for me because it's a well-made movie, as well-acted movie, and some of their career best acting wise in that movie. Uh, if we get to the final spot, I'm very torn on it, so I'll throw my dice again. I'll give it a no, though, not because of
That's the list, by the way.
But yeah, it's made the list.
yeah, I know. If I would have turned back on it, so
But with that, we've got their 12 list.
It's not a
But
bad list.
JPO, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
Yeah, let's see real quick what I had kind of in mind. If we went more comedy again, I think 40-Year-Old Virgin's got a great ensemble cast here. All the buddies, the potential love interest, the main and love interest. The Martian is one with Matt Damon and so many people pop up. Sean Bean, Cade Marr, Donald Glover, Jeff Daniels, Kristen Wiig. That's got a great cast here too, from the whole crew to the people on Earth and everything. A smaller but great ensemble because it's based on a play. Glengarry Glen Ross. Again, Pacino, Lemon, Arkin, Baldwin's cameo at the beginning. I think it's fantastic. And the Zodiac, I think it's fantastic as well. Fincher's Zodiac. A lot of people pop up in that from detectives, detectives to the potential to some of the victims, to the potential suspects, John Carroll Lynch, Anthony Edwards, Brian Cox, RDJ again, Ruffalo again, Donald Luge. So many people are in that. And also just from the heart, some of Kevin Smith films are also really fun cast too. Dogma, James Bond, Bob Strike Back have some really fun casts.
Carrie, what are some honorable mentions here?
So, like I said, I have a lot. So, we haven't talked about Altman, Robert Altman. So, yeah, he had a couple of great ensembles like Nashville and The Player. Those are two that I would have pointed out. The Big Lebowski, you can make a case for it. I mean, even though it's Lebowski's film, I mean, it's a total ensemble there. I'm okay on this movie, but the ensemble is pretty well casted. Love Actually. That's a good one. True Romance. L.A. Confidential. This Is the End.
Yeah, I know that's
good. Scream. Prisoners. And the one wild card I was going to choose next was Parasite. That's a great ensemble. Each person in that movie is utilized very well, even beyond the twist. So it's really well done.
Yeah. And also too, piggybacking off of like other directors that we've said already, like Tarantino again, you could definitely say Bastards, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's fucking stacked. And then again, Wes Anderson, you could have even said Asteroid City, you could have said Moonrise Kingdom, yeah.
I was gonna ask y'all, like, which was the one Wes Anderson were you thinking of? That's the
I'm more like Moonrise. I thought maybe.
Okay.
I'm just more of a recent Wes Anderson guy. Some of his last few I've enjoyed the most.
Yeah, I was leaning
good
towards
ensembles. Yeah,
yeah, I was actually leaning towards French Dispatch and Fantastic Mr. Fox personally.
Oh, if Mr. Fox go like voice wise, that's actually a good one.
That's not bad. That's not a bad call.
But Pick, what are some honorable mentions you had there?
So if I were to come back to me, one honorable mention, I need to brought this up, and some based on the filmmaker we haven't matched about yet, and talk about some of the topics. So one of the channels are big ensembles. Christopher Nolan's Inception. That cast around with Leo, George Gordon-Levitt, Tom Hardy, Ken Watanabe, William Murphy, Marion Cotillard.
Dark Knight too. Damn.
Yeah. And a lot of it was a great ensemble. The other one I had in mind where True Romance is already brought up, and I did consider that one. And another ensemble, although what some people not argue a great film, I thought like a funny campy way in the 90s. I put Tim Burton's Mars Attacks, and I thought that was hilarious. And the other one I had in mind, based on as a disaster movies on the early 70s.
Right.
Adventure. put the Poseidon attention.
Yeah,
on.
that's a good one.
Yeah, and I don't want to. If I want to go with animated though, I think some ensembles I had in mind were Toy Story, the Lego Movie, and I. There's only a third one I had in mind.
Was it The Lion King?
No, actually, it was actually something else actually, but
Into the Spider-Verse.
no, not that either. Actually,
Really interesting. Because
Well-
there's that poster behind you. That's
well, well, yeah, around those range. And if I want to take a look at horror film, I did think about like Thin Red Line. I did consider that one as one of my honorables. And the other one I had for ensemble pieces, I'm actually going to pick the third anime film. I would have brought this up, Prince of Egypt.
ooh, good call.
Yeah,
Great
that was
call.
the one I was thinking of. I did consider that, and
Just to throw this out to Malcolm real quick, ensemble animated movies, cast work might be kind of cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
future episodes. So besides that, I think that's it on mine so far. I think I've gotten maybe one or two, but that's all I come up with it so far.
Yeah. So I know everyone expected me to pick a Harry Potter movie. Yes, that like they do have a big cast of actors. The reason I didn't bring up Harry Potter is it is mostly like Daniel Radcliffe, Emma, and Rupert doing the heavy lifting. Like a lot of the supporting cast is just sort of there as supporting. I think if I was going to pick up one, it probably would have been Order of the Phoenix because I think everyone that gets something doing there is
maybe the crew got more to do.
I think-
Basically,
I think I would have picked Deathly Hallows Part 2. That's what I would have picked.
I mean, that too, but it's once again, it's the Avengers Endgame thing as well. Because like a lot of it is because of that final battle. But some other ones that I had on my list that I was thinking about. I did think about bringing up Titanic, but with what happened with Eternal Sunshine, I was like, I didn't think it was going to work. Well, yes, do have a lot of big cast. You got like Bruno Tool, Kathy Bates, Bull Paxton, Victor Garber, and all that in it. It is still mostly Leo and Kate's story. God damn it, Kate Winslet. But I also thought about bringing up Babylon, the Damien Chazelle movie.
You know what? Yeah.
Great cast.
For me, I'd also like if we didn't get Boogie Nights on there, I probably would have tried Magnolia.
Yeah, that was the other one. Yeah.
Try the Chicago 7, I think is a really good
I thought about that. I actually forgot about that. Yeah, that's great.
And then I didn't think anyone would go for it, but God damn it, I think Shakespeare in Love is a good movie. I think it does have a good ensemble as well. And just as a recent one, I did consider Oppenheimer, but just because it is a really new movie, I didn't think
it's a great cast. That is a great cast.
Yeah,
I think
if we were to do it next year, I would have
but...
nominated Oppenheimer as well.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I just figured out one movie that I missed. Fish Called Wanda and Little Miss Sunshine.
Little Miss Sunshine would cross my mind.
Little Miss Sunshine is a good ensemble. Yeah.
But going to the chat, they've come up. Brian mentioned things like Walk Hard, Lion King, Outside,
cameo heavy.
Like that.
Hey.
Walk Hard definitely. Rat Race is one that I'm annoyed that I did forget. I think
haven't seen Rat Race.
I'm going with high expectations.
Then Leo brought up Shortcuts,
Altman.
Nashville.
Yeah,
it's a Mood on the Express 74.
Air's a good call.
Put up
There's a couple from this year. Yeah, Air. Like again, I didn't want to do anything from this year, but Air was one.
Yeah, and then Leo brought up some Mad World.
Yeah, was what Rat Race ripped off.
True Romance, Inception, Talladega Nights.
Ooh, that's a good call.
That's a good one.
Birdman.
Birdman kind of thought about.
Apocalypse Now.
That's a good one.
Gosford Park, Chicago.
I was gonna watch that one. Traffic's good.
I'm not gonna. One that just came to mind. just because I want to see how people would react if I nominated it, I did consider bringing up Crash, but
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Crash is underrated. Now that
Which
it's been
one?
shit
Which
on.
Crash? Which one are we talking about?
We know what he's talking about.
the one that won Best Picture.
Not the
Ooh,
random James
that
Cameron
hurt.
no one
That
talks
hurt.
That's the
about.
James Barrett one.
But
Yeah.
Okay.
but now we get to rank the movie that made the 12. So just to recap, we've got The Godfather, Tropic Thunder, Avengers: Infinity War, Pulp Fiction, 12 Angry Men, Heat, Boogie Nights, JFK, Return of the King, Ocean's 11, The Departed, and Spotlight.
All great movies, all great ensembles. Jeez.
There's probably 11 good movies here. But
What?
11.
You'll see. JPO, what do you have for 12?
12 Angry Men.
Whoa.
Caro.
Did you just put 12 Angry Men, so you want to put it at 12?
Yeah, come on, guys. Synergy.
Spotlight.
Pick.
I actually put Ocean's 11.
It should be 11, dude. Come on.
So that puts us at a 4-way tie off the bat because I put Tropic Thunder.
Oh, that was the one. Oh, that
But
was.
we're going to go to the chat. So chat, Tropic Thunder, 12 Angry Men,
Spotlight.
Spotlight, or Ocean's 11. Which one should be at 12?
I'm not going to be mad.
And no, PSCO, whoever that is, JPO. But
No.
but
No,
Brian does
no.
agree. But Brian
Hey,
does agree.
Brian's gonna back.
Brian. No, Brian's part of George JPO's group.
Everyone but you, Peck. You never hang out on my channel.
What about the one I posted I wanted to go, but you canceled that one. So
Brian.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You
I'll
did
be
sign up for that.
honest. No,
I didn't cancel it. Brian and the co-host
You know what?
canceled it.
You know what? Remember I said I wasn't going to be mad? Now I'm mad. That's a classic ensemble right
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
I mean, it's one of those ones like I can kind of understand why people might put it there because, well, yes, like you do have it is a really good ensemble, I think, but it's a lot of like smallish actors of that
Plus,
kind.
it's funny that it's 12.
Oh, I will
Just
admit,
like,
I will say
Peck,
this. I
keep
forgot
your
to
board.
bring another one up, The Magnificent Seven or Seven Samurai. But one of those two you could.
Yeah. But Caro, what do
Denzel?
you have for 11?
No, the Eli Wall.
I know.
Oh,
I
yeah, Eli
know.
Wallach's in it. Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen. Yeah. Spotlight again.
Pick.
Oceans.
Still got Tropic Thunder, JPO.
Come on, we got to keep the gimmick going. Ocean's
That's a
11 at
troll.
11.
Little troll.
Now the joke's done because I don't. There's nothing. Is there 10 anywhere?
No. A little trolly, but okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's restart this. Let's go with the real discussion here. All right. Yeah.
But Pick, what do you have at 10?
Spotlight.
Sticking with Tropic Thunder, JPO,
Departed.
and Caro.
Spotlight.
Spotlight is going to be at 10. Not Stoplight.
That would be an amazing title. Stoplight.
Stoplight.
Yeah. It
It's-
sounds like a Liam Neeson movie. Stoplight.
No, it's just a movie where the camera's just on a stoplight and you got to watch it.
So
Yeah,
as
well,
good as any recent Liam Neeson movie, then.
Well, he's retired for action films, so.
But yeah, I'm sticking with Tropic Thunder. JPO,
Departed.
Caro,
JFK.
and Pick.
Avengers Infinity War.
So got Tropic Thunder, Infinity Tour, JFK, and The Departed. Chat.
Ensemble. That's a tough one.
Once again, PS Wrestling. I know JPO has a lot of channels.
But knowing my channels.
Don't do that.
Let me find another channel I have.
But actually, I did miss it. Brian had.
Right,
hey, Brian, got my back again.
Great. All right, hold on.
He wrote that as soon as I wrote that, though, so it's not even him having my back. He just agrees.
No, that one.
Oh, yeah, that. But I will say, the chat is having their own fun with putting ensembles at different numbers.
Hey, Fast 10's a great ensemble.
Nine's not bad. Hateful
Eight, good ensemble.
I said Magnificent Seven. Yeah.
We kind of ruined this. We should have done all of this.
Oh, okay. No, okay. We've gone too far there. Ridiculous. No.
I like it.
Yeah, it's only three.
Okay.
The three.
I don't know. Fucking Phil Hartman shows up.
But
John Lovitz, yeah.
But Caro, what do you have for 8?
JFK.
Pick.
JFK.
Tropic Thunder, JPO.
Lord of the Rings.
But JFK is going to be 8.
Right.
You know what? That is a good ensemble. You know,
yeah, it is actually.
Call. That is a good call. But I would say like it's really Jack's movie. So that's a good call.
And I should have the other joint.
Pick, what do you have for 7?
Wait, I also got a. Sorry, I misread it down. Return the King.
I'm sticking with Tropic Thunder. JPO.
Yeah, Return of the King.
Caro.
This is going to be an interesting one. I put Tropic Thunder.
Oh,
so it's going down the chat. Tropic Thunder or Return the King at 7.
One's going to break someone's heart, and one is going to break someone's heart as well.
And once again, I know all your channels, JPO, but once again, one still had your back.
Hey, Brian for the save.
I
think there's a little too much loyalty going on here.
I mean,
we're just agreeing. He's not even doing it like that.
Yeah. It's just a case of Brian's just really close. It was actually really close because Leo was sort of just ahead of him with Tropic Thunder. So
got to be quick. Let me find another YouTube channel too. Hold
on. I'm gonna guess a wrestling.
That was actually my number 3. It's a trilogy. Number 3.
Yeah. You pull on
but I've still got Tropic Thunder. JPO
said Boogie Nights.
Caro.
Tropic.
Pick.
I should agree this time. Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder is going to be at 6.
You know what? I think this is the best spot.
Yeah. All right, so I'm busy doing something in the background at the same time.
That's cool.
So for my number 5,
It's tough. This one's tough.
it is. I have to do this. I have to go Heat. JPO,
Boogie Nights.
Caro,
Avengers.
and Peck.
Heat.
Yeah, that's
Heat is going to be at 5.
cool.
But JPO, what do you have for 4?
Boogie Nights.
Caro,
Avengers.
Peck,
Avengers.
Avengers Infinity War, yet.
So 3 of my top 4
just
are
to
contention.
Yep. So just to recap what we've got left, we've got Boogie Nights, Pulp Fiction, and The Godfather left. Caro, what do you have for 3?
Boogie Nights.
Peck.
Boogie Nights.
Yeah, I'm going Boogie Nights too. JPO.
Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights is going to be 3.
And then this is for number 1, right?
Yep. So Godfather or Pulp Fiction.
So we're going to write on number 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
That's Ensemble. I'm actually okay with
JPO.
either one.
JPO, what do you have for number 1?
And it's Godfather of Pope.
Yep.
Pulp Fiction.
Caro.
It's like 1A and 1B for me, so Godfather.
Peck.
Godfather.
We go into the chat to decide number 1 because I put Pulp Fiction.
All right.
That's very interesting because it's one of your favorite movies. Interesting.
So
I'm
it is
going
one-
by Ensemble. I feel like I remember more distinct characters from Pulp personally than I do Godfather.
Yes, Jordan. Yes, but
Oh
luckily,
shoot, that one just straight up says my name.
but luckily Leo agreed with you. So,
Hey, Leo.
Like I said, it was 1A, 1B. So
Oh yeah, I'm going to argue either
yeah,
one.
I mean it's one of those ones like while I do like The Godfather, it is mostly like that Michael's story, so to speak. Well,
it was Michael's story.
yeah. Well, it's still sort of heavily on one person. Where Pulp Fiction uses the whole ensemble equal amount of time. That's why I voted the way I did.
No, I understand. Yeah, that's actually a great argument. Great case for it.
But our top 12 ensemble movies, at 12 we've got 12 Angry Men. At 11 we've got Ocean's 11. At 10 we've got Spotlight. At 9 we've got The Departed. At 8 we've got JFK. At 7 we've got Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. At 6 we've got Tropic Thunder. At 5 we've got Heat. At 4 we've got Avengers: Infinity War. At 3 we've got Boogie Nights. At 2 we've got The Godfather. And 1 we got Pulp Fiction.
Great ensembles. Great ensembles.
But that does end ranking for this week. Next week, it's going to be top 12 haunted house movies. which should be a really interesting topic. But JPO, we can be find you online.
Yes, all those YouTube channels you saw coming before, like the Pierce Go, is one of them. We have some movie fun over there, some trivia, some countdowns. I just messaged you about that, Malcolm. And some other fun stuff, some drafts maybe we're going to do soon as well. It's still in the tag team tournament. I believe Jonathan's still alive in that. Malcolm played previously. Jonathan never comes on my channel because he hates me. And then Pierce Wrestling Channel. We have a lot of wrestling fun over there, wrestling trivia, exclusive matches, interviews, and more.
Kara, we can be on you online.
You can find me across all social media platforms on X. Well, calling it X instead of Twitter is just still baffling. Anyway, X, Instagram, and Letterboxd. And also YouTube. I posted a YouTube video already on my Blu-ray collection, but I'll probably post one more very soon. Actually, I don't do those as often, but yeah, you can find me there. I'll be on Gordon's channel actually very soon. Doing another match. We'll talk about that off air, but yeah, thanks for having us. This was a great discussion. This was a positively influenced discussion today. I enjoyed this.
And Pete, where can people find you online?
You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at threads at JPEG1098, and you also can find my Facebook at Jonathan Peck. And you can see my beautiful face around maybe judging or matches around TNT Entertainment on the movie background. And I hope someday there's another draft thing going around, and I hope I'd be invited this time. Is that being canceled in the last minute? So that's my thing about that.
Well, again, the guy who's co-hosting canceled, not me. Do not blame the man that is also a victim as you.
Sure. Okay. So that's all I can say about that.
And you can find me over here hosting Rankum every Sunday. The first episode of the revamped Bracketeers is probably going to come this week. I know I said that last week, but I actually meant it this time. I'll probably put a post up in either tonight or in the next couple of days about that. You can find me over on Full Metal hosting trivia. We're in the middle of a singles tournament at the moment. This week we have got Ryan Payne versus Jeremy Potters dropping. So it should be a good match. At least I know it's a good match because I was there when it was recorded. But yeah. And until next time, keep listing shit as I find a thingy to go out on. And
here we go.